Pat Brown, there are certain topics in aviation that I don't think get enough coverage, and I'm gonna believe you agree with me, and we're gonna find out over the next few minutes. Of course, viewers should click the like button and subscribe because this is going to be fascinating. I just know it is, but I think of this in terms of as I'm doing the pre-flight planning and I hear somebody out of the corner of my ear say, "I think we can make it." I think that's dumb. What's your stance on the idea of "I think we can"?
Well, first of all, when you said we're going to talk about something exciting, I thought you were talking about the $100 hamburger, Jamie. I'm not prepared for this at all.
Well, the term is get-there-itis, and a lot of people don't realize it starts on the ground. It's not necessarily something that happens in the air. It's somebody's doing their pre-flight planning and they're thinking about what they're going to do, and maybe the weather at their destination is great, the weather where I am is great, but the weather in between is not so terrific.
Not so good.
Or maybe the airplane's using a lot of oil, but I'm pretty sure we're okay.
Pretty sure.
These are kind of warning signs, and curious for viewers, have you ever had that experience? Have you ever found yourself with that little bit of doubt in the back of your mind that maybe this wasn't a good idea, but we're almost home, let's give it a shot? Have you ever been in that situation, Pat?
Have I? Oh gosh. I mean, I've been flying for a very years, and yeah, multiple times. You're very tempted. I have been very tempted to take off, and I'm not going to sit here and say I've never done it. Certainly haven't done it in recent years, but yeah, that's one of those things. It's easy. It's just easy to fall into that trap, and I think I can make it home. It looks pretty good. All those qualifiers. I think I can make it. It looks pretty good. We ought to be okay. Boy, those things can lead you down a slippery path. I've stolen from you, Jamie Beckett, something that you say in our Rusty Pilot seminars, and that is that your job isn't to get your passengers to the destination, that your job is to keep them safe. And
Yeah.
I have stolen that, and I've given you credit. I've given you credit,
Thank you
but
very much. Well, I got to admit, I mean, I was a little kid, but the first general aviation airplane I ever stuck my head into was plunked into a mountain, fell down, inverted, and it was a double fatality. But it was two guys who were almost home in scud running. They were below pattern altitude in cruise, and they hit a mountain. And it really made an impression on me as a kid. And I've come to the realization that if I'm doing pre-flight planning or if I'm in cruise flight and the situation changes and I find myself saying, this is probably going to be okay, that's a hard no. Probably is nope, nope. We're going to find someplace to go. We're going to get on the ground and we're going to rethink this because, as you say, whether I get there Wednesday or Thursday, whether I get there at 10 o'clock or 2 in the afternoon, it doesn't matter. My job is to keep everybody safe. So let's just stop and think about it. And you've actually come up with a really interesting framework for this. There's kind of four things that tend to lead to accidents, the things that make you the featured player in an NTSB report, something we all want to avoid.
yeah, I can't take credit for this. I actually got this from an Air Safety Institute seminar that we did a number of years ago on accident causes. This Air Safety Institute ASI was a part of AOPA, and four cardinal sins. If you look at any random NTSB accident report from general aviation, it's not the airlines so much, but general aviation, um, you come up with four things: arrogance, ignorance, complacency, and distractions. Four things: arrogance, ignorance, complacency, and distractions. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to come up with examples of your own for all four of those things.
Well,
Uh,
let's take a look at them. Arrogance is just I can do this. I'm cool. I've been flying for 50 years. I can definitely handle this thunderstorm.
yeah,
That's just not smart.
yeah.
Um, what's a good example of ignorance where somebody gets themselves in trouble through ignorance?
Oh, I didn't realize that the pilot control lighting wasn't working.
There you go.
because I didn't
That'll make
because
a night
I didn't
landing
check the
exciting.
supplement and didn't check NOTAMs, and oh gosh, I didn't realize that runway was closed, or I didn't realize we didn't have any fuel at that place that I was going to that I stopped to get gas because I've only got 20 minutes left in the tank.
That ignorance then leads right into that complacency one, because as you say, I've certainly been taxiing out to a runway many times, and somebody will call in that they're on long final for 1-1. They're doing a straight in, and I'll call them back and say, that runway's closed, right? I mean, the big X's and the trucks on it while they resurface it. But people become complacent and they just say, "Oh, I've been there 100 times. I go to that restaurant, and I don't need to do the full pre-flight. I don't need to become familiar with everything because I already know." Well, no, you don't.
Yeah. The other good example of that was it can't happen to me.
Mm. And
That's
it can.
yeah, and it can. It can. I mean, any of us that have been flying for any length of time have had things happen that even if it's just as simple as a flat tire, that's a simple one.
Yep.
Yeah, it can happen to me, and then all of a sudden, ka-thump, ka-thump, ka-thump as you're rolling out. And then there's distractions, and that can be any number of things. Maybe you've had a bad day at work. Maybe your pet died last night.
Maybe you got a letter from the IRS in your mailbox and you're a little distracted.
or on the good news side of things, maybe you won the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hey, now as I say oftentimes in our Rusty Pilot seminars, I've got to figure out. I got to get a lawyer. I've got to figure out a banker, an investment person. I've got to figure out what to do with all the relatives I didn't know I had that are coming out and asking for money now. All those things, and I'm trying to also fly an airplane, and that's not good. One of the ways that you can avoid this is just realize when your head is not in the game. And I tell this story too in our Rusty Pilot seminars. I was doing circuits with, I think it was a student, it was several years ago. And I noticed over the course of 4 or 5 landings that an airplane whose owner I know was sitting on the run up pad. I mean, it takes 6 or 7 minutes to do a touch and go, right? And it was over 3 or 4 of those circuits still sitting on the run up pad. Finally, I see him taxi back to the hangars. I saw him a few days later and asked him what was wrong with his airplane. And he said, nothing. And I said, well, I had seen you just sitting there. And he said, yeah. He said, when it came time to take off, he said, I just wasn't feeling it. And I thought to myself, something, I would fly with that person anytime because he recognized in this case, he just wasn't ready.
That's a great example. I'll give you another one that this is just because I'm a little weird. You ever see those videos where somebody takes up their significant other to propose in flight? I don't really want to invite a highly emotional situation into the cockpit because maybe they say yes and I'm elated and this is wonderful, but I'm not really thinking about flying now. Worse, maybe they say no. I'm just crushed and I got to
And,
make that 20-minute flight home with somebody who really doesn't want to be in the airplane with me now.
and it's
You know,
going to be a very, very, very quiet flight home.
yeah, but those are the kinds of things, as you say, it doesn't matter if something bad happened or something good happened. Distractions are anything that's taken your mind off the flight. And it's okay to sightsee and enjoy the sights and talk to your passenger, your co-pilot, whatever. But to put yourself in the position where the focal point of what we're doing isn't flying the airplane, that's kind of weird. So maybe we can just give ourselves permission to be a little bit flexible with our time and our schedule. Maybe the time we get there isn't absolutely critical. And I think you've said many times, say I've booked time to take a friend flying. They really want to go, but we get there that morning and it just doesn't look good. Maybe there's a drop on the mag. Maybe I don't feel great. Whatever it is, you kind of preload the situation that we're planning on going Saturday morning at 8. But if there's an issue, we may have to reschedule. Building that into your plan is a great way to keep yourself from getting into those 4 components and becoming an NTSB statistic.
Yeah, we had that actually had that happen a few. I saw maybe it was a month ago or so. Planning on going and getting $100 hamburger and got out to the run up pad and no mag drop.
Mm-hmm.
So it turned out to be the other mag was bad, because when I went to the other mag, the engine quit. So so we're not going to fly today. Stayed local, and had a $20 hamburger instead. But it happens again. Can it happen to you? Yes, it can happen to you. Will it happen to you at some point? Whatever it is, yes, it will happen to you at some point. And you're going to have to exercise that superior judgment so that you don't end up being a statistic on the NTSB website.
Absolutely. We got to be our own best advocate. And it's sometimes okay to pull the plug and say, nope, not going today.
Not
So, viewers, tell us in the comments, what's the weirdest situation you've ever had? Or have you ever taken off and made a flight you were sorry you started out on by the time you got up to cruising altitude? I'm really curious, and it might become helpful to other viewers. Pat, you got any parting words on this spectacular topic that really is kind of important?
Don't be afraid to say no.
I like that. Just simple. So we'll say don't be afraid to say no. And if the word probably creeps into your flight planning, let's step right to that second part and say no. We're done now, and we'll figure this out later.
That's
Pat,
exactly.
thanks so much. Always good to talk to you. I'd meet you for lunch, but you are about 1,000 miles away, so we're going to have to do it like this.
Rain check. Wait. We haven't had rain in what, 2 months? But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're the same. Southern California is getting pounded, and we are dry as can be.
Yeah. Oh well.
Folks, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Don't forget to click the like button because you know you like this video. Click subscribe and you'll see future content from us here from MadPropsAero. I'll be back with Pat because he's the smart one. I'm just the cute one. And we'll see you next time on your personal device right here.